So today we're going to be taking a look at a scenario where civilization starts over. In the last episode we saw quite a lot of events happen, such as a pretty big war over here in Europe with the Dark Union, and they kind of got smoked. Where the Californian cartel finally die once and for all. I know this border looks ugly, but I like it. I don't know why, I just do. Also there's a reverse layer, so that's why it may look a little bit weird. I've had this for a while, but I don't really show it off that much. And there's quite a lot of other things happen, like, oh yeah, also the Russian Union form, that's quite a big event. But yeah, I think we'll just get straight into today's video because it's going to be a pretty interesting one today. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. Starting off with the Dark Union, these guys are really unstable at the minute. So it's the second year of the left-wing kind of party ruling, and they're doing good with the country, and it's a lot better than the guy before. So yeah, they're doing a lot better with their own country. However, the French and Dutch separatist parties are just becoming more popular. There was a by-election down here in this region, the French area, and we see the French party actually beat the kind of thing, and they become a leader of one of the prominent kind of areas down here. So that's a big yikes, and yeah, there's a lot of separatist things going in this country, and you know, this could lead to something really bad when the next election kind of comes. But anyway, shifting our focus to the alliance layer now, we will see a few things that are quite interesting happen, such as the growing of the Diamond Alliance. This alliance has grown a lot over the last few episodes. It's kind of become like a safe hold for Europe and like the Canadian Union. They are obviously the strongest country in the world, and they can help a lot of these European countries out. So that's why we see a lot of countries join, such as the Moroccan country. They will join up into the Diamond Alliance. We also have Switzerland. They are a pretty big Italian ally, and they will join up in this alliance. We also have Albania down here. They are joining up with this alliance. Obviously, they are well, they used to be the strongest country, but that's obviously not the truth anymore. They are a lot smaller than they used to be. And they'll also get a pretty big one. That's going to be the Russian Union over here. These guys joined because they are kind of, you know, they've just formed and they want a bit of help with the formation and stuff. So they're going to join in on this alliance to sort of help help with all their constitutional laws and stuff. So they're just going to work on that for a bit while they kind of protections and over the country can try and jump them. But yeah, so it's pretty cool. But anyway, something that's not pretty cool is going to happen down here in Africa. As we all know, Tunisia, they are a really weird country in terms of their history. Like, they existed for a long time, then they got killed by the Anatolians, and then they joined in with the Diamond Alliance, and after Italy started losing, they just left and didn't even fight in the war. Then they got colonised and scrambled for Africa, and they got spat back out after World War II. And then, like, they were in the Square Alliance, however, they didn't even, like, do anything. At least not in World War III. But unfortunately for them now, we have an event happening that is mightily unfortunate, as Moroccan troops will start to cross over the border into Carthage. And this is a bit of a scare, because we all know Carthage is a pretty big ally to the West. Like, they were quite close with the Canadian Union. They're quite close with any of the Mediterranean countries. They are kind of the one stronghold left in Africa that isn't like communist, or at least North Africa. Obviously, taking a look at the ideologies layer, we can see that they are the only democratic nation left in North Africa. The rest is just communist. And there is Morocco, but they're a very flawed democracy, so we can't really trust them. I don't want to say stuff like, I know I'm going a bit of a tangent, but obviously over here, I don't know, I should probably change something actually, because this does not seem very accurate anymore. But basically, just because Carthage is a flawed democracy and these guys are a flawed democracy, doesn't mean they're the same sort of level. Like, maybe Carthage, I mean, flawed democracy is kind of weird, because technically, we're getting to a point in the world where not really any countries are like full democracies anymore. Like, there are a very small amount of full democracies anymore. There's only a few, like Shandong, we have like Arabia, Canadian Union. They are the only ones kind of in the world. So when you're looking at Carthage, it's not like they are as bad as Morocco. Morocco's a lot worse and a lot less democratic than Carthage, but it's just simply like, you know, there's hardly any full democracies. Because to be a full democracy, it's a lot more complicated, which I found out recently, which is why I've stopped making a lot of full democracies in the world, because it's just a lot harder to keep up with. Because it's just a lot harder to sort of understand, but just say that no country in the world is really a full democracy, but they kind of claim to be. But anyway, coming back over here, the Carthaginians are scared for their lives. As a big power like Morocco has just started invading them, and this is kind of the first big war since the internet. I mean, this wasn't really with the internet, but the internet's officially started here, and wow, yeah, the people of the world are starting to a lot like Morocco. There's a lot more kind of, obviously with the internet, there's a lot more stuff going on. Like there's probably a few video sharing platforms out there, not like a big thing like YouTube yet, but there's probably a few, and there's a lot of people who are starting to not like the communist nations because they're doing bad things, which, you know, it's fair enough, but it's a lot more vocal at this point. A lot more misinformation is being spread about everything. And basically, why did you think that this war was? Why did you think that Morocco was invading Carthage? It's for a reason. That's because Carthage was going to join up with the Diamond Alliance, and they wanted to stop it, and they wanted to get rid of Carthage before they could. So they started an invasion, and they're doing extremely well. This is in the first, I'd say, month. But now the support is starting to come from the Diamond Alliance, and it's going to start to kind of slow down, this war is. And this war is going to last throughout this entire episode, so it's not just going to be one episode, it's going to carry on, but we have a few other events to tackle before we get back to this. Because over in Indonesia, we have another union forming with this kind of greenish country here, and Indonesia, they are starting to get a lot more united than they were before, and yeah, Indonesia, they are a pretty strong country at this point. They're probably a top 15 power. They have a huge amount of money and population. I haven't updated the population layer since like before World War 3, and honestly I don't really need them. The only layer you need really is stability. But these guys, they have a lot of population, and they're one of the more populated countries in the world. Sumatra is a very built up island as well, like around the coastal line. There's a lot of cities, as you can see, and they're all very built up, and they're quite a big economical powerhouse down here in the like Asia Oceanic region. There's also this random Pacific country that I've never talked about. Yeah, they exist, and I never even talking about them. You may think this is like a map mistake, but no, they actually yeah, there's like a real kind of country here. This is like real. Anyway, now we're gonna go up to Korea. As we see this region in Hokkaido, it's gonna decide to sort of leave Korea. Now this isn't really like Korea being like, this isn't really these guys like being like, we don't want to be with you anymore. Korea gives them independence because there's a lot of issues with them. Like the Koreans and the Japanese are quite different ethnically, but kind of a portion of this country is actually going to decide to join up with Japan. That's going to be this southern region here, and honestly, you could just see Japan annex these guys soon, but they're not going to at the minute because I kind of want them around because it looks a lot better on the map. But they'll have their capital in this tip now. And yeah, Hokkaido gets released. It's not really a big deal for Korea. There's not too much going on in Hokkaido. There's a few things, but like they'll survive. They still got lots. It's still probably one of the strongest countries in East Asia. So there's nothing really to worry about for Korea. And let's look around the world again because there's going to be some more stuff happening. Anyway, now we come over to Denmark. As you can see, Denmark is they are in a economical alliance, and like I said, they aren't very stable because I did say this right after the peace treaty, but there's a southern region here which is more German, and there's a northern region here which is more Nordic, which has created some issues as this southern region down here doesn't really want to stay with the Danish much longer, and they are begging and just want to leave the country. So unfortunately for the Danish, they're going to have to let the southern region of the country go. And we see the nation of southern Denmark forming the kind of Germanic nation, and this was a very peaceful split, so it wasn't like all rowdy or anything. There weren't really any riots. It was more just like people just wanted to leave. And the government in the north, which the government is mainly based in the north, they were sad to can't do this because it's obviously like half of their land, but they kind of had to do it. And yeah, these guys will have their capital here, and yeah, southern Denmark has been created. And I'm going to shift these guys' colour around a lot because I don't really know what looks good. There's like hardly anything that looks good in this area. There's a lot of, this area basically has every single colour. Like in Germany, there's like lots of stuff. So I think what I'm going to do is kind of make it like a bright pink like this. I think this is like fits. And luckily for this Danish country, they're right on time for something else, as the Germans have kind of seen the success that the Swedish have had with making this economical alliance. As the Swedish Republic's economy has started to boom, and that's quite good. So we have the Germans deciding to do something similar, as we have the Germanian Economical Alliance forming over here. Obviously, you can guess by the name, this is a Germanian pact, and any Germanic country that wants to join this can, so there's only really one down here, that's the red team, but they're kind of a bit dodgy at the minute. I don't know what they want to do. So yeah, it's going quite good for Germany, and the economy will also start to go well, just like the northern or the Scandinavians are. Speaking of this economical alliance, they're going to get a new member. That is actually going to be Norway, and yeah, the Nordic Pact, like I said, is starting to boom. We're not leaving the Alliance layer yet. We're doing a lot of Alliance layer things in this video, as there's going to be 2 more events actually on the Alliance layer, which wow, there's a lot of stuff happening here recently, so yeah. But over here in Poland and Latvia, we finally have the one thing that they wanted. The two pals are back, and they both border each other once again for the first time in a century. And the paperwork has been done, and eventually we see the forming. Of the Heart Alliance, which is very fitting, as these two countries are like the Turkey and Azerbaijan in this timeline. They love each other. Yeah, they do. Their people are very similar, and they also just have the same values. Remember, there used to be the Old Star Alliance, which is these two, and Finland, but Finland is kind of pursuing their own things, a little bit dodgy. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. And let's see one more event on the Alliance Day, which is going to be quite big for anyone who likes the AU. As a top 3 power will be joining the AU. I think you guys already know what it is. It can't be the Dark Union, they're in Europe. It can't be the Canadian Union, they're obviously in America. And it can only, so that means it can only be one country. And yes, guys, and yes, we finally see the Arabians join in on the AU. This is probably a long time coming. And the AU nearly has all of Asia at this point. They just have these 5 countries here and Caspia left, and then they have literally every single Asian nation. Which, yeah, and also there's obviously these 3 countries over here. They wouldn't join because they have different values in the EU, yeah. But yeah, the world, as you can see, is going in a more kind of economical way, and it's also this country. But there's a lot more alliances forming, and a lot more things happening along different continents. Like Africa, they are nearly fully, there's only a few countries that aren't in alliances in Africa, and yeah, Africa's a very messy, big, fat continent down here. And we may be seeing something happen later down in the southern region, or that could be next episode, I don't know yet. In fact, we'll just see it right now. As you know, the kind of pink team here, the Tanzanians, haven't had a very good history of Madagascar. They've been in 2 wars with them in the past, and they are some of the biggest ops on the map. They hate each other, they really do. They really hate each other. And eventually what we see happening is this getting so bad that the Tanzanians will be declaring war on Madagascar, and so will the Cross Alliance, because they kind of like Tanzania. Tanzania is kind of the leader, the strongest country in this alliance. And unfortunately for Madagascar, they're no match, and it kind of looks like this story will be dying. And yeah, you can tell I haven't updated the waters layer in years at this point, but it'll happen soon, guys, trust me. Actually, the Tanzanians did used to have a colony down here in Madagascar, but they did lose that after World War III, and it looks like they may be getting that back now, and probably more, as yeah, the warships are starting to roll in, and Madagascar is very cooked. And as many kind of naval things and aircrafts will just be thrown at Madagascar, who hasn't or doesn't really know what to do. This is a very fast thing, and the Third East African War has begun, as Tanzanian ships and personnel will start to land all over Madagascar, and this is a very unfortunate thing to happen because Madagascar, they're a pretty cool country. Luckily for them, though, the capital is on the southern region of Madagascar, which kind of gives them a bit of time to think things out, but there's kind of a South African country over here that also has stuff, so pretty plot point I missed out. Yeah, they're going to advance over here, and oof, god, this is a really bad war. Don't worry though, as it kind of looks like there's been something from the sky that is coming for Madagascar. As we know, the Cross Alliance, they are, not really liked by the parallelograms, and I know Morocco's in a war, but they're not really involved in this. This is a war that's been ongoing for a few years at this point, and you could kind of say this war kind of starts when this war starts. Time doesn't really work properly. All these events in this video have actually been happening before the Morocco War, but I kind of want to just have it be a bit of a cliffhanger, but not really, because you're going to see the end of it, but who cares. But this is probably about 6 months before this happens, I'm going to say. But the parallelograms will be officially kind of joining this war on the side of Madagascar. Well, they don't expect Madagascar to become communist, but they don't like the Cross Alliance because they aren't, they kind of disobeyed the communistness, and yeah, we have this country here starting an invasion into Madagascar, into Tanzania, and the Cross Alliance is going to be like, oh god, this is not good, because now Egypt is going to start attacking them, and what's basically going to happen is, the Djiboutians, they're quite good friends with the Cross Alliance, and they're actually just going to join up, and they're going to fight this war against Egypt. As the Third East African War started, I guess it's come to its peak, because this is a lot bigger than the second one, but the Djiboutians will start an invasion into Egypt in this region here, and they'll start invading up. Come around this area, and you could say that these guys might join on the side of the cross, even though they are democracies. But democracy and dictatorship, they don't. It's not like the Cold War anymore. It's not like that. But if they did, that would start the Great African War, which I don't think many people really want. We see the Djiboutians move up here and get to this region of Egypt. But the Egyptian army is coming down now, and it's kind of close, even though, you know, obviously these guys are a lot weaker than Egypt. But Egypt is able to hold their own. Djibouti is able to hold their own slightly, and they have a lot of their army, pretty much all of it, in this region. So yeah, Egypt isn't using all their army, they're probably only using about 10%. They are still able to push back slightly against Djibouti. And then they come down to Namibia, and they basically say, hey, do you want to move into our alliance, or we're going to invade you, and you're going to have to join anyway. And they're going to be like, okay, well, we're a little country, we don't really know what we're doing. So we'll just join up for now, and we'll leave after the war, because they don't have to stay in after the war. Obviously, like, Egypt isn't like that evil. As we have the Namibians starting their invasion into the green team, and they come around and capture the capital of it, and yeah, the green team is kind of getting cooked. And eventually the African support will start to arrive down in Madagascar as they mightily push back over here, and they only have one kind of stronghold in Madagascar, which is where the old colony is, and they'll be able to push down a bit more the coast there to kind of counter offence against this. On the water layer, we finally have the South Africans making their big invasion, as they'll start to push around to the coast over here, and we also have the Tanzanians doing the same thing. And yeah, it's a very, very, very complex war, you could say, as the entire western side of the Madagascar Navy, I guess, all the Madagascar waters, will fall over completely to these guys. And eventually, one of the worst things will happen as we have South Africa making a landing inside of Madagascar. And yes, I know this isn't updated at all, like this old stuff over here with Sweden, but you can ignore that for now. Eventually, we have the Egyptian Navy, which is a lot better than the Djiboutians. Like, the army's kind of, not really much, but the Djiboutians definitely have a much better army than they have navy. And yeah, they're going to get a bit smoked over here, as the Egyptians will start a massive invasion into their country. And there are eyes cut through here because the red team owns this, and if the red team did something like this, then it would be really bad, as we have the Egyptians coming down here, and they completely push the Djiboutians out of the country, which is not very good. Now the Diamond Alliance, they hate this, and they kind of want the Cross Alliance to win, despite the fact that they're not democratic. But like I've said a million times at this point, ideology isn't as big. I mean, it's big, communism and stuff, but dictatorship versus kind of democracy is not really the same anymore. And democracy is like, yeah, we support dictatorships as long as they're not communists, so yeah. But they won't support them now, as they want another way to kind of get their revenge, but you'll have to see how that is in the future. We have the Egyptians moving down the coast of Djibouti here, and yes, this is a very, very easy war for the Egyptians. Djibouti, while they are decently strong, they are a top 5 African nation, I want to say. They aren't that strong, and well, they're going to get kind of cooked. What's going to happen is the Djiboutian Civil War is actually going to start, so this is a very amazing war for Djibouti, and they're doing extremely well in this. So yeah, as we have this pink Somalian rebellion popping up down here, these guys, they want out of the country, and they want to form their own nation, which is no longer Djiboutian. As the Egyptians will push down past the front lines, getting into the kind of more southern middle areas of this country, and eventually the capital is taken. And what's kind of going to happen is Djibouti is going to leave the war, and they'll say, Egypt, you can take as much land as you want, but we're going to try and deal with our own civil war right now, because this is a lot more dangerous than whatever this is going on, and we care a lot more about this civil war. The red team will actually come down and take over Socotra, because why not, it's kind of free land. But the Djiboutians will crumble, and yeah, it's not good. They completely fall over to the rebellion, and yeah. Eventually the yellow team will start to move out of this region, and move back into kind of where the old country used to have like land. And Madagascar will be able to fully push these two countries out of their country, and they'll start to push around here, pushing these guys both out of their region. And yeah, it's not very good over here, and they're kind of losing, and the navy gets pushed back like this, and it gets so bad once again that the pink team, just like Djibouti did, they're gonna be like, right, okay, we don't really want to deal with this, South Africa, you know, we started the war, but you guys can stay in, we're both leaving, or these guys will be left, but we're leaving, so yeah. And South Africa's like, oh because now it's not even, like, it's not Tanzania they have to focus on, it's just them, They're the only country that needs to be focused on, and eventually when this green country is kind of killed off, or, they've beaten, all hell's going to break loose inside to South Africa. And eventually once regions of the country start to rebel, they will go ahead and sign a peace treaty, which is going to be quite harsh on them because they're not really a big fan. So let's go ahead and take a look at what this peace treaty is going to be, and we're gonna go ahead and see what it is now in 3, 2, 1. So this is the peace treaty over here. As you can see, kind of up in the north, the Egyptians take a lot of land away from Djibouti. You can kind of see the amount they took by the water layer here, which I do actually got to fix, but they took basically all the land that you can see in the they took all the land that you can see that the water had that was like kind of coastal there. So yeah, Egypt gets a lot of land from this wall. You then see that they turned Djibouti communist, and they've also turned this country down here communist. And Madagascar, they're not turning communist yet, but they could in the future, and you'll just have to wait and see. We're going back to the alliance layer again, as there's also a few more things that we have to do on here, like the fact that the cross alliance is no longer existing, and it's kind of not allowed to exist anymore. So yeah, bye cross alliance. You're cool for a bit, I guess, but yeah, you're gone. Also, this kind of economical alliance here, it's also no longer an existent phenomenon in the series. It no longer has its place in reality. And we also have Djibouti joining the Parallelogram Alliance, and this isn't the first time that we've seen a Horn of African country in the Parallelogram Alliance. Wink, wink. And this isn't the first time that we've seen a Horn of African country in the Parallelogram Alliance. Wink, wink. So anyway, let's go back up to the war over here, as the war is now going to reach its climax. It's been about a year, I would say. It's probably been about a year since this war started. Like I said, this was started just after the Dark Reunion had the kind of thing over here. That was in like 2 years after they won the term, which I don't know when that year was, but it's 2 years after that, so it's 3 years now. And Morocco is still advancing in. However, the advance has been slowed a lot. But even through the Tunisians down here, they'll push back a lot. However, eventually, after a long time of fighting, we see a lot of kind of Tunisian forces start to arrive down in the north and start pushing back against Morocco. However, that leaves this region over here like this, which then allows Morocco to push over to the coast and cut Tunisia into two, and then they are able to advance up this area here, and they'll get towards the capital region, and it looks like the war is completely over for Tunisia, and it looks like it is now completely, as the capital is captured and Tunisia has officially kind of lost this war. We quickly see the northern regions secede, and eventually the Libyans will start their own invasion into this area, a very mightily unfortunate event. And yeah, the Tunisians are cooked, and eventually they'll be completely split. And also, this does remind you of something that happened in the Disc Pro series. We'll take a look at a peace treaty here. But in this peace treaty here, Morocco will take 2 provinces away from Tunisia, and as you already could have guessed, they will be officially made into a communist nation. Soon after, they will be added into the Parallelogram Alliance, and the last foothold in Northern Africa has fallen. The democracies no longer have any Northern African kind of allies to depend on, so now if there was a war to start, there wouldn't be any fighting on their front, and it would all be in Europe, and they would have the first jump, obviously, which is a huge advantage for these guys. And yeah, it looks like this war is starting to become a lot less sort of winnable if it ever would happen. However, thankfully for the Diamond Alliance, these guys kind of got something wrong. That is that the spy, they did know that the Tunisians were going to eventually join the Diamond Alliance, which would have been a big move. So they were obviously going to be like, okay, we'll invade these guys then. But there's one thing that they didn't know, and that was kept top secret, that another country would be joining the alliance. And that country has already joined one alliance in today's episode, as Arabia will be added to the Diamond Alliance. This is one of the most shocking moments in this era so far, for the parallelograms at least. And tensions that were kind of low before, like they weren't too high, they were kind of like on the mid-time, and tensions that were pretty low before, they weren't too high, they were kind of like low. They're big now, and you may think that this was the last event of today's video. However, it's not. It's coming over to the Dark Union. The left-wing party has now officially finished their term, and the elections are up, and the Labour Party kind of wins again, weirdly enough. And the people are like, what? Like, the two separatist parties were on fire. Like, how would the left-wing party win again? And then some documents are accidentally leaked, saying that the election was rigged. The left-wing party rigged the election because they didn't want the union to secede. And the people that were kind of, calm before, they were like, yeah, we kind of want to leave this thing, but we'll give it some time, we'll wait for the elections. They're really angry now, and riots are starting in the streets, and eventually the kind of armed police will get involved, and a few people will be shot at in some cities down here in the French region, also in the Dutch region as well. And eventually we have a really bad event happening for anyone who likes the Dark Red Union, as the leader of the Dark Red Union will be assassinated, and the French will decide to break away, as French rebels will pop up, and soon after we also have Dutch rebels popping up in the north. As the Dark Red Union Civil War, as the Dark Red Union Civil War has begun, and we'll find out how this ends in the next episode. Thank you guys so much for watching today's episode. Next episode will be a premiere, because it's going to be a very big one. But anyway, like I said, once again, thank you for watching today's video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.